lot of power in there when you're about 5'10" and 190 pounds. That's a big difference than 6'3" and 190 pounds.
Couple jabs, couple tentative leg kicks, a slow start to this amateur main event. Just 3 3-minute rounds here in the amateur ranks. We'll get up to 5-minute rounds in our next fight.
Trying to find his range is Zach Manywounds.
Getting a lot of advice from the crowd as
Zach
brings a lot of fans with him. And it's funny, very humble about it too. When I asked him yesterday if he expects to see a lot of fans, he said he wasn't sure if anybody was coming to watch him at all.
Good takedown there by Lagasse, being able to hold his opponent up against the cage and then get into a good solid position, getting side control and dropping big elbows onto the thigh of Zach Manywounds, trying to take away that base.
And when you've got arms the size of Kevin Lagasse and that elbow comes down, it's gonna hurt you.
Well, now in a mount position, dropping to the back of the shoulders. Again, in an amateur fight in the Calgary rules, you can't strike a downed opponent to the head. So you look at amateurs will try and put some power into body shots, and it gives them the opportunity to stay low when they get in a mount position. Oftentimes, when you get to a high mount position in being able to strike the head, you're able to get bucked off, and that's what the opponent can do. In this position, staying nice and low, it's very hard to get out of a mount, as we're seeing with Zach Manywounds right now.
Lagasse continuing to work from up top. That was a big knee into the midsection of Manywounds. 45 seconds remaining here in round number 1, and Kevin Lagasse doing a very good job of keeping Zach Manywounds down on the ground.
Yeah, if you watch the legs of Zach Manywounds, when he's trying to get off his back here, he needs to put his feet back on the mat. He has somewhere to push off of, as you see him pushing off the cage. He tried to just shift his weight, and that's not good when you have somebody that's so solidly built as Kevin Lagasse. It's not spread out, so he needs to keep his feet on the mat and push in that same situation.
Big fist dropping from Kevin Lagasse. Again, on top of Zach Manywounds here in our amateur main event with just 10 seconds to go in round number 1. Lagasse looks like he will end this in the dominant position and certainly take round 1 on the judges' scorecards from Zach Manywounds. Lagasse and Manywounds now up against one another in round number 2 here in our amateur main event. Pro fights are next here at the Hard Knocks Fighting School of Hard Knocks 23, live from the Subway Soccer Center.
I was just about to say, it surprises me with Zach having such a forward position that Lagasse isn't attacking that leg, and just as I was thinking it, there's a big kick and there's another one there. A big forward position, stepping in on a double, and a nice takedown again, timing the double with the kick and ending in a good position in the guard now, Zach Manywounds.
Lagasse again on top of Manywounds and will continue to throw down punches. Again, no strikes to the head of a downed opponent here under the Calgary Combative Commission rules, but certainly strikes to the body, and Kevin Lagasse has been doing that and more here in the first 2 rounds whenever he's gotten on top.
And again, a good pass by Kevin Lagasse, and not expending a lot of energy and still being effective. A little bit of cage walking going on by Manywounds, but again, he's got such a bulk to be able to get off. It's very difficult, and a great knee there right to the side of Manywounds.
That knee landed hard. Manywounds trying to scramble back to the guard, but Lagasse doing a good job on the ground of holding his opponent where he wants him, controlling the cage, keeping his opponent on the ground where he can't use his reach advantage as an advantage.
Yeah, this is a classic wrestling hold, being able to hold a guy in a head and arm and hold him on his back. Being able to hold the other center of gravity is the shoulders. Now getting to the mount, and again, he's got that low mount, and it's very hard to get somebody off of a low mount. The reason that you don't see a low mount in the UFC is because they're striking to the head. Here in amateur, in Calgary, you can't strike to the head, so one is sit right down and land blows to the body, just as Lagasse is doing here.
Again, Lagasse doing an excellent job of controlling his opponent, effectively riding Zach Manywounds around the cage as Manywounds tries to find an opening. Does manage to pull him down temporarily, but not for long. Back to the mount goes Lagasse, and again, dropping punches on Zach Manywounds in the midsection and ribs area. And unlike earlier fights where we said the punches weren't going to do much damage, when Kevin Lagasse hits you, he hits you for real, and and he's doing exactly that to Zach Manywounds here.
Yeah, we've got a table that is actually touching the cage, and every time that Kevin Lagasse drops one of those big shots, the cage shakes and the table shakes just a tiny little bit. And currently we're about 15 feet away from the action.
So again, continuing the ground dominance. Brian Beauchamp ready, and so are our fighters for the third and final round here in our amateur main event. And Lagasse comes out with a leg kick after a couple testing jabs from Zach Manywounds.
And now using his striking.
Kick to the midsection. That one hurt him, though. You could see his face when Lagasse landed the kick. Manywounds winced. And Lagasse trying to get inside the reach, and just, again, the bull rush forward, the drive to the cage to put him up against it. And now he'll be trying. He's got a single leg. We'll look for the takedown here, but Manywounds trying the guillotine choke. He may have an arm-in choke here up against the cage with Lagasse holding on. This height advantage from Zach Manywounds may come into play as he goes down to the ground. Again, the guillotine choke still a possibility here for Zach Manywounds, but now he's let it go, and Lagasse's on top, and this has not turned out well so far for Zach Manywounds.
Well, there's a couple options there for Lagasse to get out of that. The first one is he hips in and he picks up Manywounds right up in the air. With the amount of pressure that Manywounds was doing, that would have alleviated pressure. The other way, get to the side, take away the pressure of the choke, and end up on top, just like he's done here.
Again, more punches to the midsection, and now elbows to the midsection. A minute and a half left, and if Kevin Lagasse can duplicate his success from the earlier 2 rounds, he'll be sure to have his hand raised at the end of this one.
And back immediately to that low mount position. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just stays here. Good solid position, not giving up any opportunity for a submission, and looking to push his victories to 3-1 his record. But again, lots of time left in this fight for Manywounds. 1 minute 4 seconds on our feature fight clocks that you see on the right-hand side of your screen.
Kevin Lagasse continuing to dominate on top, and Zach Manywounds starting to feel the pain of those punches. His face now starting to exhibit the damage that's getting done, and starting to wince a little bit. Kevin Lagasse doing yeoman work on top of Zach Manywounds, just throwing down punches into the midsection. Again, no strikes to the head of a downed opponent, or one has to think, Jeremy, that this fight might have been over a long time ago.
Yeah, in this position, but again, if he takes a different position higher up, that maybe that gives Manywounds an opportunity to get free. But as it is now, just a dominant performance here by Kevin Lagasse.
So Lagasse uses his wrestling to his advantage here as he continues to work ground and pound on Zach Manywounds, as he has for the better part of 9 minutes. And with just a few seconds remaining here, Lagasse putting the finishing touches on a likely victory.